Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the CVCS Athletics Podcast. I am your host, Luke Leisegang, a junior here at CVCS on the baseball and football team. For our third episode of the year, we are going to start off by covering the last few weeks in sports for our girls volleyball, football, and girls tennis teams. After that, we will jump into an interview with our boys head football coach, Brandon Camarillo, and an interview with captain of the team, Josh Monroe. To start off our sports recaps, our girls frosh-off volleyball team has been playing very well over the last 2 weeks, winning against Webb and Pacifica Christian. JV girls volleyball team beat TVT and lost to Western Christian 2 weeks ago. And then last week, they lost to Pacifica Christian and lost to Dana Hills. Finishing up with volleyball, our varsity team continues to stay hot with an overall record of 23-6 this season and a 7-0 league record so far. Over the last few weeks, the varsity team has gone undefeated, 5-0. They have won against Tarbut, Vitora, Western Christian, PCOC, Southlands Christian, and finished it up with a huge win against Dana Hills after losing to them earlier in the year. Jumping into our girls tennis team, 2 weeks ago, they lost to Pacifica Christian, and then last week, they unfortunately lost both their matches, the first one against Fairmont Prep and the second one against Webb. The football team went into the week of the third with a 3-2 record, where they started off their league play with an away game at Valley Christian, where they took a tough loss 33-13. Last week, however, they had a huge game against Village Christian, with it being the homecoming game. It was also another league game where they unfortunately lost their second league game of the year, bringing their record to 3-4 on the season. To start off our interview for this week's episode, we will have our CVCS Eagles head coach for the football team, Brandon Camarillo. Coach Camarillo is in his first year here as a head coach, but has had an extensive career over the last 11 years as a high school football coach. Last year, he served as the St. Margaret's offensive coordinator, where they won their first league championship in 4 years. Before St. Margaret's, Camarillo was a part of the coaching staff at San Clemente High School for 5 seasons as the freshman head coach and varsity offensive coordinator. In his first season as offensive coordinator, the Tritons went undefeated and finished the season ranked number 7 in the state of California. San Clemente High School made regular trips to the playoffs during his time as the offensive coordinator. All right, Coach, thanks for coming on. I gave a little background before, but you can give a little background on yourself.
So you just want everything before being here and all that? Okay.
Yeah.
So this is my 11th year coaching high school football. First year here at CVCS as the head coach. I was offensive coordinator at St. Margaret's last year, and then was at San Clemente High School as the offensive coordinator for 5 years before that. I was at El Medina High School for 4 years before that. So everywhere I've been blessed to be around some really good people, really good players, really good coaches, and been able to be around some really good people. So it's a passion of mine, obviously, and something that I love doing, and I'm having a lot of fun so far here.
Yeah. What kind of drove you to want to do high school coaching, or maybe not just high school, but coaching in general?
I think around my junior year of high school, I kind of got this feeling that coaching would be something that I'd be interested in doing. I'd been around a lot of coaches as a kid, obviously grew up playing sports and stuff like that, and knew kind of the impact that they had in my life. And so it was a way for me to be connected to the game that I love, but also kind of be involved with, the lives of a lot of other people. And so it just kind of really fit really well with what I wanted to do. And so I was one of those lucky people as a junior in high school. I knew that I wanted to be a teacher and coach and stuff like that. And so I kind of positioned myself to do all that. And, after my first practice as a coach, I knew it was like, oh, this is it. This is what I want to do. And so it was pretty cool to know that I'm doing, kind of what God made me to do and all that stuff. So it's been a lot of fun so far.
So this year is your first year as a head coach,
Yep.
Right? First year as a head coach. What were some, you said you coached at San Clemente and St. Margaret's. What some of the experiences there that what you think maybe prepared you to take on this job?
Yeah, I think one of the cool things is I went to a school very similar to CVCS at Saddleback Valley Christian, so small Christian school, and so I kind of had that background of what it's like to play and coach at a school like this. But, kind of when you go to San Clemente, it's one of those big brand names, right? Like when you think public school, high school football in Orange County, San Clemente is one of the first ones you think of. So it was cool to get the really big public school experience, we had one year where we went undefeated. We were South Coast League champions, number 5 in the state of California. And so we went through a really good year, and then we had a couple years where we kind of had to get back on track and stuff like that. And so it kind of was really cool to get my feet wet at an environment like that. And same thing with El Medina, the first place I coached at. It was one of those places where all of us as part of the new staff, we were all new the first year, right? And so there was a lot of new things that we had to do. We kind of had to set the culture a little bit and kind of figure out what kind of kids we wanted to be part of the program and things like that. And so kind of everywhere that I've been fortunate enough to coach at, I've kind of been able to take all of those experiences and kind of mold it into how I want to be a head coach here at CVC. And so I think it prepared me well to be having that big school experience and then having a small school experience at St. Margaret's last year and kind of seeing what those two things are like and kind of just make the identity from there. So I think it was pretty cool for me to be able to look back on those experiences and kind of form how I want to do it here.
Yeah. What were some of one of the key differences, I guess, like in what you see at like a school like San Clemente, like versus school like CVCS, or you said St. Margaret's, like in the team, I guess, or also maybe just like the culture around the school, around the football program?
Yeah, I think, the as far as the culture and how the school sees the programs at any of those schools was pretty similar. Everybody wants to go to a school where the football program is good, right? Like it's one of those things where football is one of the first sports that's on campus at the start of the school year, along with volleyball and other things like that. But it's one of those things where it kind of sets the tone for the school year a little bit. And so, I wouldn't say that there's a lot of differences other than the obvious ones. Like at San Clemente, you have a roster of 70, 75, 80 kids, right?
Yeah.
CVC, it's going to be less. St. Margaret's, it was very similar to what we have here at CVC, right? And so kind of having to get creative with where do you put those players, how do you limit too much wear and tear on their bodies and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's high school football, and so you kind of make do with what you got, and you kind of have to get creative, and that's kind of one of the fun things about it for me.
Yeah. I guess we can jump into the team this season so far. So we had a pretty strong start to the season, going 3-1, first 4 games. What were like some of the keys to the success early on?
I think we had a really good spring and summer kind of getting ready for this year. We did a lot of things that were a little bit different, and so we practiced a little bit more than the team had in the past. And I think for me that was necessary just for me to get to know everybody. I don't think it was because that had a huge impact on how much better we might have been, but I think it was big for me because I wanted to get to know everybody, get to see everybody as much as I could as a football player and get to know them as people. And so I think that definitely helped. And then, we played really good football those first few weeks. We played a couple teams that we were, I think we were better than on paper and on the field, but we still did our jobs, which is, kind of put the game away and stuff like that, which was good. And then obviously you have the Banning game where we knew that was going to be a tough one, but I think our guys played really, really hard in the first half, and we played a really good football game for 2 quarters. And then, like I said earlier, that's kind of where you see the wear and tear a little bit, right? You saw guys kind of go down and stuff like that. But overall, we started the season really well. I was really proud of kind of how we were able to handle the beginning part of the season.
Yeah. I mean, so far we've had a lot of guys kind of go down with an injury. A lot of them. But I think a lot of the guys have like stepped up. Like who do you see on the field that's really like stepped up, fill some roles maybe, or just like some of our like star players?
Yeah, I think everybody. What's kind of cool in a place like this is everybody kind of has their own unique role that they play, and so guys that we've seen that kind of are top of the mind for me. Obviously, you have Max Krosky, who plays both sides of the ball, kind of just doesn't come off the field and kind of makes an impact on both sides. You have Josh Monroe, who started the year really, really well and continues to have a really good season running the ball. Guys like Duffy Kessler, who are playing offensive line, defensive line, which is incredibly difficult because that's a lot of wear and tear on your body. But even him, right, playing with a bad ankle and things like that right now, he's stepped up and been one of the leaders up there. And so it's been really cool to see those 3 guys, kind of be leading our team with where we're at right now. So it's been good.
Yeah. And so far, 7 games in the season, 3-4 record. Maybe not where we wanted to be, right? But So a few tough losses the last few weeks. First one against St. Margaret's in a close game, and then another 2 tough losses in league play. What does the team need to do to turn this around?
Well, I think a lot of it is just adjusting, right? I think it's adjusting to the new league that we're in. We knew we had a lot of conversations at the beginning of the season, like this is going to be very different than it's been in the past, right? Coach Presler did a really good job of getting the team to where it is, and winning league championships and stuff like that. And so naturally that means you get moved up, right? And so being in a new league is always exciting, but it's also kind of that unknown area where you kind of don't know what to expect, right? And so the teams that are in our league have, a strong history of football excellence and stuff like that. And so it's up to us to kind of adjust to that and kind of see where we fit in and all that. And so I think the big thing for us is just staying healthy, and making sure that we can go the long stretch and, just focusing on what our individual jobs are. I think, you've heard me talk about it all the time is don't do more than what we ask of you as coaches, right? Yep. And so doing your individual job, trusting those around you, and then hopefully get back on track soon.
Yeah. Next 3 weeks, got Ontario this week, and then Aquinas next week, Heritage to finish the season off.
Yep.
3 league games, and then hopefully CIF, right? Yep. So what should the CVCS football fans be looking forward to for the rest of the season?
I think, we've talked as a coaching staff, we've talked as a team of kind of how do we get back to that identity that we had in the first few weeks, right? Like what were we doing well at that time that we need to try to replicate now, right? Yeah. And so I think there was a really strong focus at the beginning of the year, which is usual, right? Like everybody's excited to be back, everybody's excited to be playing games, so there's kind of like that attention to detail that's there that you kind of need. And so I think for us, it's just getting back to that and getting to a point where it's like, hey, if you're a senior, this is your last regular season, right? And so it's only going to go as long as you guys can, take us. And so I think for us, it's just going to be what we've been preaching is, understanding the moment, enjoying the moment, and trusting those around you. And so I think, as far as what people want to see, it's going to be one of those things where, you're going to see guys that come together really well and play really well together for 48 minutes. And if we do enough to win the game, that's great. But if not, it's one of those things where you're going to see our team that really come together. And so that's kind of one of the big things that we've been focusing on.
Yeah. All right. So to cap this off, obviously CVCS here, we have a big emphasis on God and Christian community, right? What have you seen maybe through your players or as a coaching staff, like what you guys have tried to like implement to help the players, reflect and grow in their relationship with God?
Yeah, I think Coach PJ does a really good job with his devotionals that we do on Thursdays. It's specific for you guys because it's, how do we create tough young men, right? Like you guys are going through experiences on the football field and just in life that you can take those experiences and those lessons learned in your lives after school, right? Like kind of our goal as a coaching staff is to leave an impression on all of you guys as players that you guys remember later on. So whether it be by leaving a good Christ-like example with our actions, our words, how we love each other, how we love you guys, it's kind of one of those things that we hope leaves a really strong impact on you. And I think Coach PJ's done a good job of, having a different message for you every week for all of you guys and kind of how it applies to you guys as athletes, but also how it applies to you as Christ followers. And so I know even for myself, it's been really helpful, and I've been able to take some good notes on what he's talked about. And so I'm super thankful that he's able to do that for us because it does a lot for me, and so I'm sure it does a lot for you guys. So I think that's something that's been really awesome.
Yep. All right, well, that just about wraps up this interview. So thank you.
Yep.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
All right, so next up in our interview for this week's episode, we'll have the CVCS Eagles star running back Josh Monroe coming on. Josh has been a key player for the Eagles this year in his first year as a starting running back as a senior after J.P. Sinnott graduated last year. He's had an amazing season so far. He currently has 895 yards rushing and 11 touchdowns on the ground through the first 7 games. And to top that off, he has 3 receiving touchdowns. All right, what's up, Josh? Thanks for coming on today. I just gave you a little intro, like your stats this season so far. So if you could give the listeners maybe a little intro about yourself.
Yeah, so I've been going to CVCS for 3 years now and been playing on the football team all 3 years, just mainly a football guy, no other sports. And kind of started playing my junior year. I was doing really good then, and now my senior year, kind of having a breakout year.
All right. So football, obviously you love football. Have you been playing it since when did you start playing? What made you fall in love with football?
Yeah, so I've been playing football for a while now. I started in middle school in 6th grade, and I've always wanted to play tackle football when I was super young, and my mom didn't quite let me for the first couple of years, but I'd always be watching those hard hit highlights,
Yeah.
and wanted to play. So I think I just fell in love with the game at an early age and just been working at it ever since.
Yeah. You always been playing running back?
Yeah, in middle school I used to play running back. I was pretty good starting back then, and I played corner too as well.
All right. Now you're running back, safety.
Running back and safety.
You like corner or safety more?
I definitely have to say safety. Corner it's such a difficult job, and I feel like they don't get enough praise for what they do.
Yeah.
So safety is just definitely a better position for me.
Yeah. All right, so you mentioned first season, you're really starting because you had JP last year. He's pretty good. So he's at Wheaton right now. So you've been playing really well. What have been some of the keys to the success you've been having so far?
I'd say most of my success was because of my off-season training. I knew I'd have to step up because we went up a couple divisions in our football program, and our starting running back was obviously going to be gone. So I stepped up to the problem and worked hard in the off season. And we got a good O-line, so that helps too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
We're 3-4 this year. Obviously not where we want to be, but we started off pretty well, 3-1. I was just talking to Coach Cam about it. So 3 games left of the season, 7 games in. We got 3 big games coming up, determine if we're going to be in CIF or not. So what's the team going to need to do to achieve our goal for a CIF championship?
Yeah, great question, Luke. I think the main issue we're having right now is there's not quite enough starters. There's a lot of people playing both ways, and because of that, we're getting hurt a lot, and we're dealing with a lot of injuries. So I think for these next couple games, we got to win a couple to go to playoffs and kind of just man up a little bit. I've been dealing through a little bit of injuries, been a little banged up, but that's all right. It's not stopping me.
Yep. Need some of the younger kids maybe to step up. We've had some unfortunate injuries like Jeff and who else? Just a lot of guys are banged up, like Duffy. Mm-hmm. Duffy's a little injured, but they're pushing through. So moving on, CVCS, obviously you've been like you mentioned, you've been a student athlete here for 3 years now. So what has CVCS done to help you strive and succeed as a student athlete?
I would definitely say that I've become a better person here overall. I think that's my biggest takeaway from transferring from San Clemente to CVCS. My GPA has boosted a lot, and have definitely became a better football player because of that transformation. So CVCS has definitely helped me out in many ways.
Yeah. Do you think it's puts you in a position maybe to succeed at the college level? As an athlete, hopefully, right, and then also as a student, giving you the tools you need, right?
Yeah, for sure. I'm definitely going to succeed at the college level.
Yeah. So to cap this off, how has your relationship with Christ affected you, in your football career? Maybe, like you mentioned, you said. Definitely, coming from San Clemente, CVCS made you a better person. How has Christ played a role in that?
Well, at San Clemente, I was a Christian, but I wasn't very in tune with my faith, and it wasn't my main priority, But ever since the transfer, I've kind of just been focusing more on that, and God's just taken the wheel. I've been rowing the boat, but He's directing me in which way to go.
Love that. All right. Well, thanks for coming on. Appreciate it. And see you soon.
All right. Thanks for taking me out of class for a bit. Appreciate it.
All right. That just about wraps up our show for the week. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.
This episode has been a production of the Capistrano Valley Christian Schools Podcast Network. Capistrano Valley Christian Schools is a Christian JK-12 school in San Juan Capistrano, California. Be sure to check out, subscribe to, and leave a review of this show and the other shows on our network on your podcast player of choice. Doing so supports the school community in a multitude of ways. For more information about the CVCS Podcast Network or any of our other shows, check out cvcs.org or email podcasts@cvcs.org. On behalf of the whole network, this is Mr. Jasper saying thank you again for listening, and stay tuned for more.